Alright, so hello everybody, this is Ben from Filling to Wolf, and today I am going to be doing a storybook telling video. I have to read it from my phone because it's an online book. It's a book about something very important to me. It's a story. It's more like a fan fiction, really, based off of another fan fiction from My Little Pony. I'm going to explain this. Well, I do have a friend, well, not a friend, I know someone who can steer you in the right direction on what the story is based off of. Like Past Sins, written by Penstroke, is an MLP fan fiction or My Little Pony fan fiction where Nightmare Moon is, well, a cult called the Children of Nightmare tried to bring Nightmare Moon back. For any of you who are MLP fans, you know who I'm talking about. Basically, the cult fails to bring her back and ends up making a child that looks like her, but young, like way younger. And basically, the child doesn't have any memory of who she is. I'm gonna try and find the video. Here. So I'm gonna type in the name of the person that I'm gonna recommend you to. Dr. Wolf 001. Okay, and I'll put that, and I'll add Dr. Wolf 001. I'll put it as in like Dr. Wolf's past. I'll just do past sins. Well, review on past sins. And I'm trying to make sure I do this right. Dr. Wolf 001's review on past sins. Exclamation marks around those. By Penstroke. All right. There we go. It's on. Is anyone here? No, I think it's just me. Okay. If you want to know more about the story of Past Sins and how that contributes to my book, go ahead and look up Dr. Wolf's review on it, and he'll give you, I'm going to be honest, he's going to give some spoilers, but he'll describe the story of Past Sins in a way where you can probably hop into my story and basically get what's going on. So let me see here. I'm going on fanfiction.com because that's where I posted my book. Well, books. I've written many. And I'm going to read to you guys what goes on in Affiliate to a Wolf. That's the name of the book I wrote. I wrote it in 2015, so I apologize if it's not very good. But I think it's okay. Like, it's good for a first attempt. So yeah. Well, let me read the description about my book first. It has been a year since Nyx was adopted by Twilight. They and their friends are having a nice time when all of a sudden they found themselves preoccupied with an unlikely friend. Nyx was, well, here in the description I gave Penstroke credit for Nyx because she's the character that he put in Past Sins. Nyx was made by Penstroke from the story Past Sins. Please give credit where and to whom it is due, meaning Penstroke and his book. So, yeah, let's get started. Affiliate to a Wolf, Chapter 1, A Summer Camping Trip. It was a calm summer day in Ponyville. The birds were singing in the trees. The flowers were in bloom. Fillies and colts played in the town square. And Twilight and Nix were, well, Twilight and Nix, what, sorry. And Twilight was taking Nix to her first camping trip. It has been over a year since Twilight adopted Nix as her daughter. A few ponies were still angry with her for what she had done as Nightmare Moon, but not as much as they were at first. They had packed their saddlebags and were meeting Nix's friends at Sweet Apple Acres to organize the trip, while Spike, Pee-wee, and Owlicious stayed to look after the library. The fillies would be supervised by Twilight, Applejack, Rarity, and Rainbow Dash. Hang on. Like the last camping trip they had, but this time, Twilight, Nix, and Twist were coming too. They were walking down the street by Sugar Cube Corner when Pinkie Pie burst outside from the door. Her eyes were narrow as she scanned every pony walking by. When she saw Twilight and Nix, she quickly galloped in front of them and yelled, "Stop right there," holding her hoof up in a halt sign. "Pinkie Pie," asked Twilight, raising an eyebrow, "what's wrong?" Pinkie Pie squinted her eyes and looked around suspiciously for any pony who might be watching. She then looked at Twilight and said, "I don't think you guys should go camping." Twilight was dumbfounded. Why would Pinkie not want Nix to have her first camping trip? What was wrong? Did she worry Nix would be afraid to go? Sure, she was a little nervous at first, but Nix didn't want to miss out on something her friends were going to be in. Besides, who would she hang out and play with while they were gone? Twilight then asked, "What are you talking about? Nix can't miss out on her first camping trip, especially not when her friends... ... Before she could finish, Pinkie Pie interrupted and said, "I know it's important to you, duh, but I have a knot in my tail, which means something bad will happen. We won't know what to... and we won't know what to do to prevent a disaster." Twilight rolled her eyes and said, "Oh, Pinkie, a knot in your tail should have nothing to do with what's going to happen. It just means you slept on it funny." Pinkie, who was unconvinced by Twilight's words, said, "No, Twilight, I know from my experiences that a knot in your tail is a bad sign. Eventually, we'll find ourselves in a jam where there's no easy answer." "Pinkie Pie, don't worry about it. Everything will be fine. It'll only be a 2-day hike to the mountains and back," said Twilight reassuringly. They walked past Pinkie Pie and continued down the road. "Fine, but you've been warned," said Pinkie Pie, ignoring the other ponies who stopped to stare. Okay, so here's the thing about Pinkie. She has these weird instincts that actually work in the end. Like, they actually do help her figure out certain things and details in day-to-day life. She actually... she's been able to have her moments with those instincts on more than one occasion. Like, I'm telling you guys this off page. She has her moments where these instincts actually do work, surprisingly. So, yeah, she's probably right about what's going to happen. Twilight and Nix had made it to Sweet Apple Acres and walked to the house, where Apple Bloom, Sweetie Belle, and Scootaloo and Twist were all waiting. Nix rested her saddlebags down and ran to her friends. "Hey, girls," she said excitedly. "Hey, Nix," said Sweetie Belle. "Are you excited for your first camping trip?" Nix nodded and said, "You bet. Me and Twilight even found a book with all the things we need for the trip." "Great," said Twist. "This is my first time, too." Just then, Applejack and Rarity came out of the house and down the porch with their saddlebags. "And let's hope it's not your last, Sugar Cube," said Applejack. The trail we're going on can get mighty steep. Oh, I hope I don't get mud in my hooves, complained Rarity. I just got them done. Oh, please, said Rainbow Dash, laying a colt on a cloud above them. Don't tell me you did it right before coming here. For your information, Rainbow Dash, I needed my appointment early to make up for the lost time. For not going to wait, I misread that. Hang on. I needed my appointment early to make up for the time I lose for not going to Fluttershy with Fluttershy. Oh wait, for not going to Fluttershy's and my weekly spa outing. Okay, I butchered that really bad. Basically, I added this part where Rarity and Fluttershy go on a weekly spa outing, but I couldn't read that right for some reason. Anyway, back to the book. Twilight quickly interrupted and said, So are you ready? Applejack looked around and said, Yep. All right, everybody, let's move out. And with that, they all began their trip to the mountain trail. By the time they arrived at the start of the trail, Nyx had already started reading the first few chapters of the camping guide for ponies. She read about campfire songs, how to roast marshmallows, and how to pitch a tent. There was a chapter on scary stories, but she skipped one. Eventually, Twilight told her to put the book away. As they began their ascent up the mountain, the fillies began to play I Spy. When it was Nyx's turn, she looked around for something for her friends to guess. She eventually found her item and said, I spy with my little eye something pointy. Is it a pine cone? Asked Scootaloo. No, Nyx replied, smiling. A tree stump? Asked Applebloom, pointing at the stump of a fallen tree with splinters and points coming from where the trunk used to be. Nope. Sweetie Belle then answers, Rainbow Dash's hair? Close, Nyx said with a chuckle. When it was Twist's turn to guess, she said her cutie mark, pointing at the lightning bolt-shaped rainbow on Rainbow Dash's flank. Yes, Nyx said excitedly. They continued to play as they made it up the steep trail. At the end of the day, they had reached their first stop. They made camp at the spot just off the path where there were no inclines. The view was amazing. You could see Ponyville on the left and Canterlot on the far right. In the middle was the sunset. The ponies pitched their tents in a big circle and made a campfire in the center. Rainbow Dash and Scootaloo collected extra firewood and put it aside for later. Rarity and Sweetie Belle, like last time, had a small mansion-sized tent. Every pony thought it was overkill for a two-day trip, but they didn't protest. Twilight, Nyx, and Twist were reading the book they brought to see if there was anything missing from the campsite. Everything looked to be in order, but they double-checked to be sure. Applejack and Applebloom inspected their saddlebags to make sure they had packed enough food for every pony. They packed water, sandwiches, soup in Tupperware, vegetables, and fresh apples from the orchard. It all set perfectly in one small wagon that they pulled together. Later that night, every pony sat around the campfire. Rarity was teaching the fillies how to roast marshmallows, giving them precise instructions as they hung their sticks over the fire. Once they were cooked just right, they pulled them out and put them on graham crackers with chocolate to make s'mores. Nyx cheated as it at it and held her s'more over the fire with her magic to melt the chocolate. Excuse me. Twilight laughed and gave her an approving wink. Nyx winked back, blew air onto her s'more, and began to eat. After they all ate their food, Twilight began to look for the next step in her camping guide for ponies. She flipped through the pages with Rainbow Dash hovering over her shoulder. She eventually found the page she and Nyx left off on. It was Chapter 4, Scary Storytelling. Twilight thought of how much Nyx hated scary stories and tried to skip the chapter, but Rainbow Dash put her hoof on the page. Okay, Vaponi, said Rainbow Dash. It's time for scary stories. Nyx's eyes widened and her ears pointed down. She looked at Twilight for support, but she only smiled and shrugged her shoulders, not knowing what to do. Everybody else thought it was a good idea, so Rainbow Dash began by saying, "It was a dark and stormy night." Oh, wait. No, sorry. It was a dark night, just like tonight. A group of ponies were out camping just like we were. While they were hanging out and roasting marshmallows, laughing at the jokes and having fun, something was watching them. Almost every pony was listening intently to the story, while Nyx had huddled next to Twilight for comfort. Rainbow Dash continued. One of the ponies went out to get firewood, while the other three stayed put. As he was picking up sticks and twigs for the fire, he heard a noise, whimpering and whining. Something was in trouble. The pony dropped his sticks and rushed to find the source of the noise, and when he did, he saw a cult of wolves all gathered in a circle. In the middle of the circle was a big bonfire, but it wasn't a normal fire. It was dark. It was a dark black fire. The wolves didn't see the pony watching yet, so he quickly hid behind a nearby bush. He watched one of the wolves begin to walk forward with something wrapped in a cloth. As the wolf unwrapped the cloth, a little baby cub was inside. Every pony gasped. The cub was placed in a circle carved in the dirt. As the cub sat there, the black flames began to twist and turn, the pony watching, looking in awe at what was happening. The fire was alive. The flames then engulfed the cub and dragged it deeper into the pit, but the fire didn't burn him. When the cub was in the center of the fire, the air became cold around the circle of wolves. Just then, a chill in the air appeared around the campfire group. The fillies jumped but then every pony just laughed. Rainbow Dash went on with the story, determined to finish. The wolf cub began to change. His skin began to peel off and turn to dust. Along with his muscles and organs, his bones became black like ashes, but hard as steel. While the pony was watching, he noticed breathing coming from behind him. He turned to see a lone wolf standing behind him in the shadows. Scootaloo shouted out, "Oh no!" "Oh yes," Rainbow Dash replied. The pony tried to yell for help, but it was too late. The wolf put a paw over the pony's mouth, restraining him with rope, and dragged him out of hiding and into the circle. The once little cub turned to face the pony, and when he did, he stuck out his forked tongue and licked his razor-sharp teeth. Before the pony could even think, everything went black. He woke up the next morning in his campsite. He was covered in blood, flesh was in his teeth. The camp was a bloody mess, and his friends were long gone. No pony knew for sure what happened. No bodies were found. Only the remaining pony survived. "What happened next?" asked Nyx, shivering like a leaf. Doctors say he was crazy, but rumors say that he was possessed by the wolf cub. Ponies even gave the cub a name, Shadow Flame, aka the Shadow of Fire. Nix looked at Twilight, too scared to even blink. Twilight gave Nix a kiss on the forehead and said, "It's okay, Nix. It's just a story." Rainbow Dash went on with the story and said, "Some ponies say that on this very mountainside, you can still hear the howls of Shadow Flame." With that, she howled as loud as she could. However, in the distance, a second howl came from the forest, and it wasn't Rainbow Dash. Dun dun dun! Uh, I remember when I first posted this chapter, some people were like, wait. I remember some people were like, wait, hang on. Oh, here it is. When I first posted this chapter, a very big fan of mine posted, "More, please." But when they said more, they had like 4 exclamation marks. I can see it on screen here. It's pretty funny. It was pretty fun. So anyway, that's chapter 1. Let me see if I can read chapter 2. How long have I been doing this? I think we got time. All right, here we go. Affiliate to Wolf, chapter 2, A Trip to the Doctor. Everybody sat still around the campfire, listening to the strange howling coming from the distance. What was making that noise? Was it some pony just responding to Rainbow Dash? No, it sounded like they were in pain. They all looked at each other with uncertainty. It was quiet until Rainbow Dash broke the ice and said, "Oh, come on, every pony. Are we really afraid of howling?" "I'm pretty sure it's neither of those," said Applejack. Hang on. Oh, wait. I skipped a line. "Are we really afraid of howling? What if it's a Timberwolf or Shadow Flame?" asked Applebloom. "I'm pretty sure it's neither of those," said Applejack. "Maybe it's an animal in trouble," said Nix. "If that's so, we need to go see if it needs help," said Twilight. "Hold on," said Scootaloo. "You're not saying we go out there, are you?" "It's the right thing to do," said Twist. Twilight nodded and said, "Applejack and I will go check it out. Rarity and Rainbow Dash, you stay here and watch the girls." Rainbow Dash and Rarity gave a nod. Twilight asked Nix, oh wait, sorry. Twilight asked Nix, "Please be careful." "I will," Twilight said with a smile. She and Applejack went toward the direction of the howling, while the others stayed at the camp. The howling grew louder as they continued into the forest. Eventually, they found a clearing where a little wolf cub lay with its front right paw caught in a bear trap. Twilight and Applejack drew closer to the cub as it continued to cry. Once they got close enough, it turned its head toward them. When he saw them, he whimpered for help. Twilight walked over to it. "Shh, it's okay. We're going to get you out of there." "Say what now?" asked Applejack. "Come on, he's just a baby. It'll, I'll bet he still has his baby teeth." "It's the teeth I'm concerned about." "It's the teeth I'm concerned about," Applejack replied. We can't just leave him here," Twilight protested. "Fine, but you're explaining why we have a wolf with us right after Rainbow Dash just told a scary story about one." Applejack, does he look like he's all bones?" asked Twilight. "Besides, what would they think if we just left a baby here in pain?" Twilight looked at the bear trap and then at the wolf's caught leg. The teeth of the trap were not just pointed, but they were also razor sharp. The leg looked infected, which meant the wolf cub had been there for a day or two. It was surprising that the wolf wasn't dead yet. He should have bled out by now. The trap wasn't an ordinary trap either. The closing mechanism had been modified to be one way. It could close easily, but opening it would require certain tools, which no pony had. Twilight couldn't use her magic either, for the trap was enchanted to block all magic spells. This is ridiculous, said Twilight. The trap is designed to keep any pony from opening it. Just then, a rustling sound came from the bushes behind them. The cub was the first to react. He looked at the bushes and growled. Before Twilight asked who it was, the wolf began to bite and tear at his caught leg. Without warning, Nyx popped out of the bushes and called out to the wolf cub, "What are you doing? Stop!" But it was too late. His leg was completely detached. Rainbow Dash soon appeared behind Nyx and asked, What the hay is going on out here? She looked at the cub with wide eyes. Twilight turned her attention to Nyx and Rainbow Dash. What are you doing here? You were supposed to stay at the camp. Rainbow Dash smiled embarrassingly and said, Nyx ran after you when we heard you two arguing. Never mind that. What's with the wolf? She pointed at the now three-legged cub. I don't know how or why, but a trap caught his leg, and he has been holding him here, said Twilight. Applejack walked up to the wolf and looked at his injury, and now he's at risk of blood loss. If you have a plan to save him, Twilight, then you better move fast. Twilight immediately tried to think of what to do. Should she use her magic? She mended some scrapes here and there, but never missing limbs. No, she needed to get him to a doctor soon. Twilight then said, I'll use my teleportation spell to take him back to Ponyville. Every pony else, tell the others just what happened. I'm coming with you, said Nyx bravely. Twilight nodded. She didn't want to argue with Nyx. The wolf had already fallen due to the ground unconscious. Twilight put the wolf cub on her back. As soon as Nyx was close enough to use the spell, she was ready. Twilight's horn began to glow, and with the flash of light, they were back in Ponyville. They all rushed to the local hospital where Nurse Redheart was sitting at the front desk. Twilight and Nyx burst open the front door and explained to the doctor what happened. Nurse Redheart nodded and took them to the emergency room. They cleaned and sealed the injury, bandaged it, and gave the cub they gave the wolf cub a tetanus shot. He was still passed out, which made the process easier. Nurse Redheart hooked him up to a heart monitor and gave him needles connected to a blood bag and a nutritional bag. When he was finally stable, the nurse and Twilight left Nyx to watch the patient. There's something you need to know, Twilight, said Nurse Redheart. That boy has lost a lot of blood, more than enough to kill a full-grown wolf. I don't know where you found him, but you should tell the princess about this before we regret what happened tonight. I know. I made this mistake of keeping Nyx's secret from every pony, and I almost lost her because of it. I won't do that now, said Twilight. You should probably go. He's safe for now, but you really won't be of much help right now, said Nurse Redheart. Okay, I'll get Nyx and we'll leave him in your care, Twilight said, walking back to the room. Actually, Twilight, Nurse Redheart added last second, if you don't mind, I would like to run some tests on him, but I need you to fill out some paperwork if you agree. For the betterment of the wolf, Twilight agreed. Though the paperwork process was very tedious and extremely time-consuming, Twilight managed to sign her name on the very last document just as soon as the nurse came back to check on her progress. "Is the paperwork all filled out?" Nurse Redheart asked, with a smile. Twilight, yawning loudly, replied, "Yes, the paperwork is finally finished." Twilight handed the papers to Nurse Redheart, and she took them to the office after saying, "You're free to go." "Oh, and Nurse," Twilight said, turning around with a smile. "Thanks." "My pleasure," said Nurse Redheart. Twilight walked into the room to find Nyx asleep in the chair next to the wolf cub. The paperwork took so long that Nyx just couldn't stay awake for any longer. Twilight picked Nyx up and put her on her back before leaving the hospital and going back home to the library. She sneaked past Spike and went to their bedroom. Twilight put Nyx into her bed, tucked her in, and then went to her bed to go to sleep. It was a long night, and they were all very tired. All right. I think that's a good stopping point at the moment. It's basically, so they found this wolf cub caught in a bear trap, and they had to take him to the hospital after he severed his own leg for unknown reasons up at this point. And basically, he's recovering at the hospital after Twilight teleported herself and Nyx and the cub there, and Nurse Redheart's taking care of him now. So that's chapters 1 and 2. If you guys like this, let me know what you think about it in the comments. Leave a like if you really enjoyed it. And as always, I hope you have a good night, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.